they strategically drive those relationships to be at level 1. So even though there might be this fantastic stair-step of corporate relationships we have, remember it's mutual. If you're a vendor for Walmart, are you ever going to get to level 4?
No.
Probably not.
Unless you buy it.
Unless you become acquired, and then you're not going to be a vendor any longer. Exactly. So I think that's what's key about the buy-sell hierarchy, is that not every relationship is attainable. It needs to be mutual. And I think some of the ideas around levels 4 and 5 are very important to talk about, right? Are there any? What's the best level on the buy-sell hierarchy? It's a trick question.
Right. I'm not. Right.
There is no best level. There is no best level. Is there anything wrong with having this relationship down here at level 1 when you're from a commodity?
Not if it's a good relationship.
No, not if it's a high volume purchasing relationship, you have a really good margin, and you don't have to put a lot of work into the relationship, right? I think that can be a very good relationship. There's a lot of companies that create a lot of their yearly revenue from level 1 and 2 relationships.
Yep.
Right? What are the difficulties about level 1 and 2 relationships?
Easy to get unseated.
Yeah.
Yep. You're competitively vulnerable. There's not much differentiation. They're usually based on price. So the next new widget that has better margins than you.
I think as a company too, playing in those areas, you get to a certain complacency.
You can. Yep.
Because of the commodity type product that you figure that it's automatically going to be there each month until someone comes along and ups you.
Well, and my thought is that always, inevitably, you're going to have somebody come in with somebody else comes in from somewhere with a relationship, and then you're gone because you don't have a stronger relationship.
Right.
That's the.
Yeah.
If you're in a market that doesn't have a lot of competitive pressure, is 1 and 2 good place to be? Yeah, actually. Totally. You're not having to do much work. You probably have really good margins. If you don't have a lot of competitive pressure, that's probably a good space. There was a part where I was selling for a medical supply company, medical device company, that came out with a really, really novel wound care technique. This guy, literally a guy, actually invented a totally novel wound care technique that was around negative pressure. For a while, there was not a soul of competition in the market for about 4 or 5 years until the patents started to run out, right? But for that period of time, it was just, it literally was sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy. It was a fantastic relationship with the market. Is that going to sustain forever? No. There are times when this is just fine, right? Oftentimes, level 3 is that relationship that many companies seek to get to, where they're making some considerable amount of investments. They have a good relationship with their field of play. They are definitely customizing their support. They're doing specific strategies to address what they want. They have what seems like a really good back and forth relationship, but it's still just centered around that product, right? It's about how you buy that product, how that product or service is performing into you, how we can maintain that relationship together, about you buying this product and service, right? This back and forth. It's a great place to be in the buy-sell hierarchy. Nothing wrong with number 3 at all. Things change when we get to 4 and 5. It's a whole completely different strategy in many ways, right? 4 and 5, as the video mentioned, 4 and 5 are taller. They're also thinner because they're a little more precarious and they're hard to maintain, and they certainly require a much deeper level of investment to get there, right? And the differences between 4 and 5 are we're impacting business issues, we're impacting organizational issues. I liked what the video said, which is as you get up here, there's almost like a blurring of the lines between the organizations, right? When I was early with my first job out of nursing, I worked with organ donation. And every state has its own OPO, which is an organ procurement organization. And the company that I worked with in organ donation would put a staff member in their key offices, their key OPOs around the country. So look, I mean, for all intents and purposes, people forgot that it was one of our employees and it became one of their employees. Right? So it literally became like an in-house employee. We were at a level 5 with those organizations, right? That's the kind of investment we were making. The lines between our two companies were blurred, right? If you're involved in a strategic partnership with a company and you're helping them expand into new marketplaces, or you're helping them capture new market share, you're helping them capture new patient populations, new subscribers, then it's probably more of a level 4, right? Anyone have any questions on these 4 levels, how they differ?
I would say on 4 and 5, is it safe to say that those, you might have better, higher relationships within the organization whenever you get to 4 and 5? Is that pretty much in line?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah, I would say you can't get much above 3 unless you really have some extremely strong relationships, an extremely motivated, engaged sponsor, right? And it's almost impossible to get above 3 unless you have some really, really good relationships, and many of them, right? The LAMP was put together by the original founders of Miller Islands, Bob Miller and Steve Hyman. So you were aware of that? The 2 gentlemen who wrote the original books, right, 40 years ago. And Bob Miller has passed already, but when he was asked about, in all his years, which encompasses almost 45 plus now, how many customers did he have at level 4 and 5? What do you think he said? So 40 years of selling.
Handful.
Yeah, 5 or 6. And they never stay there. Rarely do you stay here year after year after year after year after year.
So I would, this goes back to our consulting. So I would say that we at least had a couple, if not more than a couple, customers where he and I developed the relationship, got to a 4, if not a 5, made it infinitely easier to sell. So when we first started selling some of our commodities, right? But the problem is we're no longer at the 4 or 5 level, so it's almost as if we started over. Because it just ended up, it just became a different relationship. So when we finished the our consulting piece, right, that we still have a strong relationship, and it still lasts to this day, but it's not at the same level where they think of you as part of their organization, and that you're coming in and answering questions, and you're involved in the strategy and the whole 9 yards. It's just not.
I think the other thing too is, if I didn't mistake seeing this in the video, it said the average tenure for a CEO now is like 2 years.
Yeah.
So that you have that changeover. So if you have a relationship at the C level and they go through and do a whole changeover, then going back to what you were talking about before, you lose that whole connectivity with the account.
You lose that
start
segment
up,
of it.
and then you drop back down to a different level, and you have to try to build that up, and they may not like you. There's all these
Well, they
different things.
probably have relationships somewhere
Right,
else.
especially up here, right? I think, CEO changes don't necessarily have to impact them